yeah, I mean, I think you can see where the form they're in, and anytime you play play Kansas City, I think it's always going to be a challenge, just the way that they're built and the quality of players that they have. Obviously, it's good to be home because their place is difficult to play in, but I think it's another opportunity for us to see where we're at, grow, and get an idea and a sense of where we're at. We're still evolving, we're still growing, and I think there's no secret we're not pleased with the results we've gotten. But I also don't think it's the way we look at it is it's not that we're not competing, it's not that we're not giving the effort that we want, it's not that we're not seeing from the players. It's just we're just struggling in certain areas of the field and for many reasons. So, but yeah, I think it's a challenge, but it's always a good one. And again, anytime you step on the field, anything can happen. We just have to be the best version of ourselves and grow on what we've done this week.
Lisa's Sullivan's having quite the individual start to this season. She's got assist or tackle and duel winning numbers that are up there with the best of her career. Her creative numbers are the highest she's had since she was in Houston. What have you thought of her play at the start of this season?
It's no surprise. She shows her worth every day in training. I think it's a credit to how she takes care of her body and her mind and how she refuels. She's a true pro. I think some of our young players can learn from that. It's not just showing up in training and going home like the youth days. The intensity in which we do it, they have to go manage their bodies, and Sully does it to the best of her ability. And it's a good thing when you're in these situations that you have a leader like her, because she's always going to go out and compete for the jersey and represent it the right way. I know it's been difficult for her and stressful because of for many of the players, just because of who we are and what we've done in the past. But she's doing the best she can and trying to help us get a result. But she's a one person group in that regard, and we can't ask her to do too much. We have to all pick up the pieces of our individual roles and responsibilities, and hopefully we can all that can spark something with everybody. But yeah, she's been absolutely tremendous. I think she's probably been the best player on the pitch, even in games that we haven't had success. I think she's been absolutely tremendous and a key piece of what we're doing.
Obviously, a big announcement for the club yesterday with the holidays joining
Yeah.
the ownership group, Lauren coming on as an advisor to the club. How do you kind of see your relationship with Lauren developing now that she's part owner of this club?
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I've had the opportunity to get to know her the last year and a half, and she's awesome. Yeah, she's awesome and cares so much about the women's game and has a vested interest in what we're doing and how we're doing it. I think the thing that's drawn her to us is the way we play. It's basically the way she likes to play football, and she was a tremendous player. I mean, probably one of the best women's national team players to play. But it's really just about who she is, her story, and how she carries herself, and I think that's important for us in our culture. But yeah, I'm looking forward to working alongside of her because she has the same goals and aspirations I do, and she's been a good support system for me. But yeah, I'm thrilled to have her and Drew be a part of what we're doing.
How do you see kind of you maybe looking towards her in that advisory role?
Yeah, I think it's different from I go, if she and I reach out to each other, I think it's more of just a check in, see how you're doing, and she's not here on a daily basis, so I think it's just more of a where you at and how are things going and what can I do to help you, and that's important for me as a coach. Um, because and others do that as well, but from the footballing side, you don't get that a lot. You're on an island to yourself, and the way I am, I put myself on an island too, because there's no one that takes these results harder than myself, because you feel like you're letting people down, you feel like you're letting the team down, but at the end of the day, I preach us all being in this together, and that's no different with Lauren. So she'll help out where she can. Hopefully she has a lot of say in terms of the soccer side because she has great experience in it, and yeah, it's just a relationship that's just going to continue to evolve.
What does it say about the North Carolina Courage that of all the clubs that she could have invested in, she chose this one?
Culture. It's unique. Like I've said it since I've taken over, and even before then. But since I've taken over, the culture is a special place, and I just told the group this on the field. Like, it makes our job easy as coaches, even during these tough spells, to show up every day, because you have a group of players that care about each other and they come and work every day, regardless of the situation. They don't complain. They haven't complained once. And sometimes, that's what you need, and it makes our job easier. They haven't quit. They want to get through this just like everybody else. And but when you have a culture like this, it makes it pretty special. And I think that's what people need to recognize. Yeah, everyone wants results, but you can't lose sight of the culture that we've created, because that is so important. And sometimes teams go through this. Like, everyone wants to win. That's the purpose of sports. But it also teaches you things. And I think for us, it's a character trait, and we have a lot of character in this group. Lauren's a high person of character, and yeah, I just think when you have a culture like that, people want to be a part of it.
Last week when we were talking about kind of going through this rough spell, you said your biggest concern was the mental side of the game. Have you seen the players kind of still stay as mentally tough as they were a week ago with another loss on the statute there?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything drop. But we also have to be careful in going too hard too, because I think what we've done is, or what I've tried to do is, you sort of get a gauge of where they're at. If you see it dropping, pulling them in and reminding them, rather than getting on them in these moments. If you're 5-0, it's different. But if the energy is dropping, which it hasn't, then you just pull them aside. But you have to give constant reminders of how good they could be and where we're at. And it's a little bit of a curve that we're in right now, and we have to continue to work. The only way you're going to get through it is by working through it. It's no different than being sick, or it's no different than something like you work to get through it. You don't give up. And that's something that's more of what when things don't go well, how are you responding to it, rather than I missed a pass in training and now my day is over. Like, no, like that won't happen here. So yeah, that's what I've been focusing on, just getting a gauge of seeing, observing. If it's not going the way we would want it, or the energy's not there, just reminding them. And reminding them that I'm in this with them too. We as a staff, I'm not putting them on an island. We're all in this together. And I think it's just reassuring them.
Despite this kind of slump you guys are going through, Casey does lead the league in saves. When you do have kind of just a mainstay in net, does it make maybe going through this a little bit easier because you have her as kind of that backstop that can really keep you in games even when you're struggling to score?
It's twofold. Like, if she's leading the league in saves, that's a bad thing, because that means we're giving up shots. But I will also say the shots we're giving up they're not from close range, like they're from further out, or they're mishaps or misclearances, stuff like that. But yeah, I think anytime it gives you confidence, but just like anybody else in the field, she has to maintain her standard. We have players that are ready to get in, and everyone has to know that they're replaceable. And I think, she's always been a high standard person personally. So, but not letting anyone get too high or let them get too down. Like, we want to minimize the amount of shots we give up. But when you're playing against teams that have loads of attacking quality, you're going to give up shots. We have to now reciprocate that, and we have to start getting some shots off, because if you look at every game, the first 15, 20 minutes, we've had chances to score goals. It's when we give up the goal is where our mentality drops. And that to me is youth. That is strictly youth. So yeah, Case has been great, but I don't want to keep saying she's been great. I don't want to hear her name sometimes. Because we need her to make saves when we need her to make saves, but not so many. That's when we need her to be called upon. That's when her job is. But we have to do a better job of, one, keeping the ball in better spots and making the most of our chances where teams don't have hope against us.
How do you facilitate more of the attacking mindset within some of the younger players on this team?
It's hard, because if you look at the how some teams are built, you look at the top of the table, it's just pace across the board, right? And maybe something that we have in some areas, we don't have in some areas. You look at back to years past, we had Lynn and Jess and Deb and all these players, and now we're built a little bit differently. So it's the thing for us is having continuity up the field, staying connected, so that we have numbers around, so that we're not asking players to make 30, 40-yard runs, because we don't have the capacity to do that. And then we get stretched. So it's just reiterating. That's why the short passes are so important. It keeps us connected. The time that we play a big ball, we get so far apart from each other. And now we're in isolation with 1v2 or what have you. So you could see moments where we're like, okay, and then we go away from it. Whereas in years past, we were a lot more consistent in believing in it. But yeah, it's a difficult style to play. And it takes time, So we've tried a million different things. We're just waiting for it to click, And sometimes that takes time. It's fine.
I'll turn it over to Rowie on Zoom. You got your hand up?
Yes. Hi, Sean. Thank you for the time as always. I did want to start off by asking about kind of the way that you're able to balance keeping up, like not sort of losing sight, not sort of getting too down on yourself, or for players at least, for them not to get too far down on themselves, while also sort of translating that off the field. Like I know that they're not really getting down. The spirits are staying up, but that on the field sometimes when you give up the goal, that's what a lot of when you see stuff go down. Like how do you translate some of the high energy that is in training to in the game when you do end up giving it, or if you do end up giving it the goal? Like how does it translate from practice to on the pitch?
It's hard to translate it because every player handles things differently, and I think that's the piece that's important. Like you still have to urge them, you still have to show them belief, you still have to give them confidence, but at the end of the day, it's what they think internally. I can't change their thought process internally if that's how they think, and I haven't seen that. It's just I think the problem is when you give up a goal and you haven't been scoring as much as you'd like, then the question in their head comes, well, who's going to score? And then they start pressing and they start doing things uncharacteristic. They start rushing, and then as a result, things fall apart. And we don't play the team football that we would really want to play. But I would probably go out on the limb as well and say, if you look at most of the scores in this league this year, they're not high scoring games, minus the top three teams. There's 1-0, 0-0, 2-1. So, and the amount of teams that have one win, we just happen to have a 0 in front of us. So I think you just got to continue to. It's not like I can make wholesale changes after we give up a goal. They're pros. They got to suck it up. If a goal happens in the 10th minute, we have 80 more minutes. Is the game over, or are you going to continue to fight and compete? So if they can't do that, then they won't be on the field. If they can't do that, then they won't be wearing the Courage kit. And I remind them that of every time. Like, there's a Courage way, and then there's everybody else. And the way we want to do things is we don't give up. We continue to compete. We continue to push. And when the final whistle blows, if you're giving yourself the best chance and effort and you play good football, then so be it. People want us to change tactics and say, oh, you guys got to change. How would people like us to change? They want us to go direct. Well, who's going to run onto it? We don't have that. We're not built that way. So we are who we are, and people either enjoy it and observe it and take it on and support it, or don't, right? But from a player standpoint, the players know the belief we have in them. All we can do is continue to show it, give them their best chance for success, and that's why you show up and you play. And if the other team beats you, you tip your hat, shake their hand, you move on and get ready for the next one. That's all you can do. And if you don't do that, then you shouldn't be in sport. I think the media makes a bigger deal of it than we do. I can promise you that.
I'm 100% sure of that.
Yes.
Within the system itself, in terms of being able to finish and to get goals, kind of in your system, the Courage way.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the biggest things that you've worked on, whether it's for rotating players in and out, or whether it's just making smaller changes to the big system and keeping it the same that you guys have been doing to try to score, or even get the one or the two, even in these low scoring games?
Yeah, you can't. We've made a lot of change. We haven't had the same starting lineup for 2 games in a row. So we're trying to find the right pieces, and you give people a chance, and then you have to go move on. I think the important thing is you look at the games that we're playing. We're getting higher up the field. We're entering the final third. We're getting end line, but then the numbers in the box are really low. So the commitment to the cause and getting in the box and creating chances is low. That can't happen. So there's got to be more of an acceleration to join. Even if we lose it, we have a better position to win it back. Whereas if we're stretched, teams just turn and play through us again. So I think the commitment to the cause is important. I think the recognition of the time and space we have. I think back to the Gotham game. Everything we talked to them about from a picture standpoint was spot on. We changed the point of attack. We were attacking on diagonals. We get into the final third, and we get nothing out of it. We don't even test Berger. So there's just got to be more of a commitment, and also taking a risk. We don't have to be so cute. Like, we don't have to walk it in the goal. But when we get to the final third, we have to have risk takers. And the only way you're going to score is if you shoot a ball. And if we're hesitant to shoot a ball, then we can't expect ourselves to score. But those are the things we just keep reiterating and pushing. And we'll make necessary tweaks again this week to try and suit the quality of the player that we have in that moment. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about that stuff now, but we're still looking at ways that we can tweak things to potentially do it and still be ourselves. But yeah, we have to keep doing it until we find the right combination of things.
And then generally, without giving too much away, like, how do you incentivize risk taking for players, especially at such a moment where you might be averse if things aren't going as well?
The incentive is you score a goal. That should be incentive enough. I'm not giving them like $5. I'll hit the salary cap, like everything else. But the incentive as a footballer should be to score goals, and that's what your job is to do. If anyone needs more incentive than that, that's what I call youth football, where you score and you get a new pair of cleats. Stuff like that. Like, for me, the objective is to score, and even if someone scores, it doesn't guarantee they're going to be playing the next week, because the opposition is going to be different. So I think that's the thing. Like, the risk part is, to be honest with you, I think that's more internal. The fear of making the mistake, of how it's going to look, and then their own thought processes. And that's why I always say the next action is the most important action. But you don't know what you don't try. So I think it's more internal than it is anything else. Like, they have to be willing to do it. And if they sky it over and it goes into the woods, I'm cool with that. If we try and be too cute and it leads to a transition moment and they score, I have a problem with that. So yeah, you just continue giving them the freshness and the flexibility to do those things, because we have quality players in and around the box, but they can't be so tight wound of making a mistake. So that's really what we've been pushing. But incentive, man, I don't care if you're a center back. You want to go score, go score. If I see anything but a circle on the scoreboard, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's a pretty good incentive. Might win, might score. And then the sort of last thing that I'm wondering about is just, personnel. I feel like it's been fairly similar overall on the back line, but you mentioned some of the defensive struggles and things that have been lapsing. Like, what are you seeing that some of, even folks who are familiar with the system, like, haven't been doing that has led to some of these goals?
It's a team sport. The back line's not giving up goals. We are giving up goals. And you look at the goals. Let's be honest. Look at the goals that we've given up. Let's go through them. Set piece against Louisville, right? Set piece against Louisville. A poor defensive action against the Reign, and then the second one, 30-yard worldie from Bug. Okay, you tip your hat, move on. Then you look at the Portland game, 0-0, miss a PK, had tons of chances, ball's close up the line, we hit the post twice, move on. Then we go to Gotham, right? Yeah, we go to Gotham. Set piece was one. The third goal is a set piece. The second one, I don't even need to talk about that. That was a disaster. And the first one was a individual duel and a adjustment in the service, but something that should have never happened. And then you look at the goal against Bay, and that was overshift, free player, another worldie. Name a single goal that a team has broken us down. Has a team played through us? Has a team gotten behind? Like, has there been a goal that we can sit here and say that there's an issue with, other than the ones I've announced, and 2 of them were worldies from 30 yards out? No. I'll answer for you. The answer is no. So I think at the end of the day, we're giving up goals. We don't want to give up set piece goals, 2 of which is uncommon for us. We're also probably the shortest team in the league. That's an issue. But we're also 2 of them are worldies, and then 1's a gaff. So it'd be different if teams are playing through us and we're like, oh boy, but we're not. And I'll never say the back line's not doing their job. I'll never say the midfield's not doing their job. We have to be better in those moments. Don't get me wrong, because a goal is a goal. But I have the utmost confidence in our back line, just like I have the utmost confidence in our midfield, and I have the utmost confidence in our forwards that we're going to get through this. But it won't be because of a particular unit. It's going to be because we, as a group, get through it, and we stick together with that. But KK, Ryan, now Macy, Malia, Feely, Talia, Dan, like whoever's back there, if they're on the field, we have confidence in them. But I'll never say that anything's gone wrong. I don't think that's fair to the group, because I know how hard they work.